That's right, Matt Charlie's definitely.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on. I can't lie, my intro always gets me pumped up, and I hope you lot feel the same way. People deluded, I'm back again. First things first, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, in some cases, good night. If you're on Twitter and Twitch, one love, make sure you're following Amazon Prime if you're on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, it doesn't cost a thing to smash the like button. We're rapidly closing in on 60,000 subscribers now. As I make this live stream with you lot, it is a Monday. I hope Monday started great. Obviously, I hope the weekend was great for you lot. And us Arsenal fans, we got back to winning ways. It's a must-win week for us. I know we say it's a must-win, and we've been probably saying it's a must-win for the last 10 games, but we've got 2 London derbies. First of all is Chelsea tomorrow, which we will be doing a watch-along, and then it's the North London derby. And I know mathematically we could draw, Liverpool could draw, City could lose, everyone could do anything other than win, and the title could go down to the wire, and there's many different realities, you know, what could happen. But for me, we win the games, we have half a chance, and even winning might not be enough. Now, there's allegedly been transfer news in relation to Vlahović. We all know we must beat Chelsea. Apparently, Mikel Arteta has shedded some light on Timber. Our under-21s are playing away at Blackburn Rovers today, and allegedly Timber's in the squad. So, again, you can't expect him to play 90 minutes. I would say anything from 20 minutes to, at best, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. But that's a step in the right direction. And I won't be doing a watch-along for it because I haven't finished editing my Vlahović video for you lot. You lot would have probably seen I've got a Frankie de Jong video coming out at 8 p.m. And big up Jordan again, who's on Arsenal Fan TV and does a lot of other stuff in the journalistic world. We previewed this very week. And big up Don, who's a Chelsea fan. I'm waiting on a thumbnail. That video will be out for you lot. So, you know, I've been churning them over and trying to start the Monday in the best possible way. Any talking points, etc., get them in. We're going to go over Mikel Arteta's press conference and all the other isms and schisms. In fact, Isaac and Bruno Gomares links have re-emerged. As we know, the dream is free, the hustle is sold separately. And you know we'll be doing a watch-along tomorrow, people, so make sure you check out the pinned message because we'll be doing such. And because I'm such a nice guy, I've just dropped a link, or I say just dropped, I'm lying to you lot. I have just done it. Now, I, the CEO of the platform, American Gooner, appreciative to you. Promise, appreciate you. What have you said? Big up DG. Did I hear right? You was going to have a show with Don CFC. It's already done. It's already done. I'm waiting on a thumbnail. Then it's out for you lot. Big up Don, man. You know, I know on Twitter he moves a bit mad, but he's a very purist football fan. And it was a great chat, and we're going to have to chop it up and do a lot more. I can't lie. I'm going to, spoiler, you know, I'm actually going to make a second YouTube channel just for like neutral content at some point, and it would be lovely if he featured. Is it funny season already? No way we go for that Juventus reject. Tom, to be fair, you're not wrong, but he's literally at Juventus. How is he a reject, if I'm completely honest with you? And, you know, for me, I'm not saying Vlahović is the one, but I'm on it. I can't lie to you. I think 24 years of age, the Serbian cerebral savage. He lives and breathes goals. You know, again, I don't want to spoil the tactical video to come out in the next 24 hours, but I'm all for it, especially because Mikel Arteta aggressively tried to sign him. I'm not saying he's the only target and he's the only one that could do a job, but there must be something in it. You know, again, people said Alexis Sanchez was a Barcelona reject. Mesut Ozil was a Real Madrid reject. Martin Odegaard was a Real Madrid reject. If we're getting rejects, I'm all for it as long as you do the job, man. Who really cares about it? There's some news on Bruno from Ben saying Bruno could be 80 million. I have seen that. For me, get it done, man. You know, get it done. Bruno Gomares, again, pardon my language. There's so many reasons as to why I want him. He can play as a 6, play as an 8. You don't know I'm biased to the South American players. I think he's got that passion. I think he's a see you next Tuesday in a nice way. You know, I like our squad. We've got some nice guys. We've got resilience, but we need people with a chip on their shoulder, with an attitude problem, with some dogs, and pardon my language, some bar bastards for other teams. And if I'm honest with you, Bruno Guimaraes should have never played for Newcastle. Edu, his countryman, should have brought him to the carpet. And I think him and Declan Rice would be a great partnership. You know, if you could bring in Bruno Guimaraes and a little cut price, another midfielder, along with Declan Rice and all the other guys, provided they stay, smash the like button. I'm all for it, man. Good afternoon, right back at you, S. You're always part of the furniture here, so I appreciate that. Yeah, Don is deluded, but he's calm and entertaining when it comes to defending his own dead club. Harsh, man. First time doing the show with him, I definitely wouldn't have him down as deluded. I actually liked the show we did. He sees football the way I do in that. It's, you know, we can slag off other teams and do all of this stuff, which is fun and entertaining, and maybe a gear in my YouTube game that I need to step out with, you know, and be shameless. But it was a good chat, man, really. Kai Havertz is a Chelsea reject. I wouldn't put him in the same realm as a couple players, but yeah. And to be fair to you, with Kai Havertz, yeah, how is he a Chelsea? I mean, Chelsea reject that Real Madrid tried to buy. Arsenal bought Champions League winner. I know football fans, we turned this into the slagging contest, but I said, like, where's the reject? Like, literally played for them. Like, Vlahović has more experience in the CL, has a sprinkle on him, but I wouldn't be against him for the price. I mean, 51 odd million. Isaac, I'd prefer Isaac, but you know, getting Newcastle to agree to a deal is one thing, but that's 100 odd million. You know, Tony, we don't really want. He might be available for a cut price fee, but and Sesko as well. But where you look at Osimhen and Gyökeres and all these guys, it's a lot of money. That's why I don't believe it. Because if Juventus really want to sell him for 51 million, that's something else. And also, we've got to remember, Juventus are trying to get him to sign a new deal. Apparently, he doesn't see eye to eye with Maximiliano Allegri, who, you know, you would have seen a few months ago. He came off the bench and kind of slagged him off. He might not be the Juventus manager next season. So it depends, if really and truly. Calling it now, Havertz will score against Chelsea. It'd be lovely. But I always say, you know, at this point in the season, don't care how we do it, get the 3 points and then we keep it moving. Bruno Guimaraes looks like he'll go to City with Paqueta, Old Leon midfield. I don't reckon he ends up at Arsenal, but I hear it. Don on the terrace and other shows be smoking hella copium. I hear it, man. Havertz definitely a Chelsea reject. A Chelsea reject is a player like Werner or Kepa who paid the stacks for and don't ever want to see again. Kai has many fans still missing him at Chelsea. I'm not going to lie. I don't imagine Chelsea fans are missing Kai Havertz, apart from, you know, big up Johnny Minerals, man. That's another one I need to get a show with. Vlahović has 16 goals in Serie A so far. That's lit. And at a team that's on the front foot a lot more, he could probably score some goals for our football club, man. You just come on live now. Yeah, man, we've been 8 minutes, man. 8 minutes into this, man. Keep your questions, talking points, etc. warming up. We're going to go over Mikel Arteta's press conference, all this transfer business. Then I'm going to, obviously, the stream has to end at some point. But don't be alarmed, people. Turn on your notification bells. Your YouTube, you know, mentions are going to get spammed, really. And again, the reject thing is dead. For me, I know it's a thing where fans like to poke fun at stuff, but if you do the job for me, I don't care if you're a reject. You could argue Thierry Henry was a Juventus reject. Dennis Bergkamp was an Inter Milan reject. Sounds like blasphemy, and I'm not saying that, but hey, they worked out fine, didn't they? And they, you know, two legends essentially in the footballing world for our football club. You know, you look at the current team, you've got Martin Odegaard at the forefront of such. You know, Martinelli was rejected for trials with Man United and Barcelona and all these clubs. And I know he's not flavour of the month, but he's doing all right. I know people are not going to allow me this one, but, you know, Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko now I'm playing. I don't want you lot to leave the stream and get mad. Who is a bigger reject, Werner or Lukaku? But what does this reject thing mean? Like, I'm not being smart, but what does it mean? Because for me, the word rejected is you tried to sign for these clubs and they didn't have you. You know, Jorginho, by this logic's a Chelsea reject. Fair enough to say he's been one of our smartest January additions in recent years. DG, you think Galmondo, Fazzini and Guimaraes, CDM party replacement, and Eze Cam for Odegaard maybe Elise for Saka, you agree? And Isaac for Jesus and Eddie, you agree? You're asking bare things. I appreciate that. But let me break that down. Let me see that. Commando would be an upgrade on Zini. Bit of a different kind of, more of a traditional kind of fullback. But all in all, I think he's better defensively and can give us a gear going forward. I do like the inverted fullbacks, but whether it's the invertedness of Arsenal or having them play as traditional fullbacks providing width, I must admit, I think we need a lot more from our wingers with current form and in general anyways. But I think next season, I want to see Arteta get a bit more out of his fullbacks and make them a bit dangerous, if that makes sense. Guimaraes would be a great replacement for Thomas Partey. Big up Eze, he's a quality player, but you can't talk to Martin Odegaard at all, so that's dead. Elise would be great for competition and rotation and just in the squad and stuff with Saka. I wouldn't say replace him. I'm keeping Jesus regardless, but Isaac could be, you know, if we sign Isaac, he's the number one striker. Hopefully I've answered your question. And Eddie and Nketiah, unfortunately, Eddie, Smith Rowe, asterisk next to him, Reece Nelson, these guys could be sold and probably should be sold to reinvest into the club. All honesty, this Chelsea game worries me. Chelsea play well against good teams. I see it being a difficult game for us going 2-2. I mean, a draw, you can take it, but it doesn't help us. I want to see a reaction because it weren't the worst game against Chelsea, but I am very annoyed with that. I know you can't win all the games and you're going to drop points. And, you know, we have to chase the illusion of perfection to near enough beat City. But that hour at Stamford Bridge was horrible. It was horrible tactically. It was horrible what the players were doing. And Jorginho and Zinchenko in particular were off the cuff. It was horrible from David Raya for that Mudryk thing. We literally just saved the day. You know, great goal from Declan Rice. Saka set up the super sub Trossard and we nicked something. We've generally got a good record against the top six. But I do think the Chelsea game was a missed opportunity. Now, I can't really say that because we didn't turn up for an hour, in my opinion. And the last half an hour, we saved it. But if we played as Arsenal have genuinely been playing this season, who knows what would have been said. Ironically, we're also playing Spurs, another game where not finishing the dinner that we had in their half. And obviously, Jorginho made that mistake. We shot ourselves in the foot. These are the things that we kind of have to eradicate. You throw in the Fulham away performance, which for me is the worst performance in the Premier League this season because there were zero positives for us to take. Fulham at home, we shot ourselves in the foot. Obviously, the December period with the Newcastles, the Villas, the West Hams, ultimately we dropped points. And, you know, the very fact that I don't look at the league table, but allegedly we're top, and at least we can put some pressure on City going into the Brighton game. You hope De Zerbi's men do us a solid. De Zerbi's been linked with City amongst other clubs, so he probably bend over backwards. And to be fair, you know, I don't know if you lot have seen it, but David Ornstein has said if David Moyes leaves West Ham, they're going to get Ruben Amorim, who's been linked aggressively to Liverpool. You know, De Zerbi, he's been linked with Bayern Munich, probably been linked with Liverpool if he hasn't already, definitely been linked with Man United and Chelsea. I wonder where his future lies. Because when you read between the lines, I personally think, I'm going completely left, but I think De Zerbi's frustrated at Brighton. Brighton's a good club with a great project, but De Zerbi strikes me as someone ambitious, and Brighton have done, you know, they buy players from all the continents in the world, sell them on and stuff. But I think he's getting to that stage now where we've got strong cash reserves. Can we hold on to a couple of these players and actually try and achieve something? Johnny Minerals jokes, we need that. But DG, do the show on Rumble Plus. Come with tissue because you will cry a lot of tears. I hear it. I think De Zerbi goes by Munich, another club that's been linked with him. He could be a game changer for West Ham, but they'd have to back him. Can Frimpong play left back? Not to my knowledge, but I'd imagine so. He looks in fact, I think he can. He's relatively both-footed, or he can, you know, he's like me, innit? I can get myself out of trouble playing Sunday League with my left peg. DG, do you prefer Ben White than Zinchenko in that inverted role? No, generally, no, because Zinchenko is an organic midfielder. Obviously, he's going to have a bit more about him in that. There's going to be a bit more line breaking passes and things of that ilk. But generally, so yeah, you know, if we're doing the if the game state, as Arteta says, are ideal and the conditions are ideal and we don't have to do too much defensive work and Zinni switched on, go cook in midfield. I do think, though, as much as I think people are scapegoating Zinni, I think there's a use for him, but I would be open to letting him go. I do think the pros to his game don't outweigh the cons. And I do think the playmaking in that role is overrated now to a degree. And I think there's only so far. It's not like last season, because last season there were times Zinchenko, who obviously I'm looking at it a bit simple, is our left back. We would cry that there's no creativity or there's no link because of Zinni. That can't really persist. I just think, you know, if we, not that Zinchenko won't cook, but let's just sign a left-sided 8. Let's just solve that piece to the puzzle because, you know, we're very lopsided. Last season was the first season in many a year, for me anyways, where we looked a consistent, not saying we ain't scored and we're not a threat down the left, but we looked a consistent threat down the left. Them times there, Odegaard's kind of more floating to the left. It's more balanced with him floating to the left than the right. Jesus playing up front would pull over there. Martinelli had double figures. Xhaka was always ever present. And Zinni managed to show prolonged fitness. We ain't got a left-hand side for a majority of these things. Obviously, Benjamin White, Saka, and Odegaard are 3 of our best players, 3 of the first names on the team sheet. And, you know, God forbid, because we can't deal with any injuries, but are always fit. We're too lopsided. And it's never, we're not going to get to where we need to get to, man. But with everything, to go back to your question, with all things considered, White's just more switched on for me, man, if I'm honest with you. Liverpool should get Ten Hag when he leaves United, and United should get Southgate. Everyone's happier than the madness. DG, heard the new role for Havertz that Twitter football has come up with, inverted 8. Listen, I want to be proven wrong with Kai Havertz in midfield because it means we've got internal solutions, but we're not going to get out the hood with Kai Havertz playing in midfield. Ironically, I actually feel the game against Wolves that we've just played, that was probably his best performance in midfield. And I'm not dissing Kai Havertz because I think, you know, it's a lot more rosier than when he signed. I think he's got a role at this club. I prefer him up front because he can drop into midfield, be a focal point, do all of that kind of stuff, really. And I'm not dissing Kai Havertz. I'm just being honest. Off the ball, you know, he gets stuck in, his movement's good. He's good at all of that stuff. What outstanding qualities does he have on a football? And I'm not dissing him because he's a German international, a Champions League winner. Real Madrid tried to buy him in the summer, allegedly. Arsenal spent 65 million quid on him, come through at Leverkusen with that price tag. But what is his outstanding qualities on a football? It's not passing range, long and short. It's not movement. Well, movements are off the ball, so I'm shooting that one down. It's not the fancy 1-2s where, you know, Declan Rice can not, I don't think he does anything in the final third great, but can do a bit of everything and is industrial in there. Partey, for all his issues, is a quality player in terms of passing. Obviously, Zinchenko's never going to get a run in midfield for me, but you get where I'm going. What does Kai Havertz have there? You know, for me, Kai Havertz is a multifunctional player that can be utilized in the squad and actually can be one of the first names on the team sheet if he keeps his form up. But unless we wake up and he plays like Tony Kroos, Bastian Schweinsteiger or Michael Ballack, fellow countrymen, there's a midfield hole there, really and truly. It's a massive hole. And I do think Arteta shot himself in the foot with that. And sometimes I'm not dissing Havertz. Sometimes it's about just accepting players for what they are, you know. Like I said with Zinni, for all his frustrations, accept that he's going to go to sleep defensively and utilize him in certain game states that, you know, harness his strengths and hide his weaknesses. And the same goes for Kai, if I'm honest with you. Physicality. Bro, is that on the ball, bro? Seriously, is physicality, MK, physicality on the ball, really? And if that is the case, and I agree for what it's worth, is that, you know, is he more physical than Declan Rice? Two different players, but what outstanding qualities does he have in that midfield that other players don't provide? Nothing on the ball. This is Arsenal Football Club, man. We've seen Patrick Vieira and the more physical kind of players. Obviously, when we moved to the Emirates, there was more diminutive, you know, the Sesses, the Santis, the Wilshares, even Aaron Ramsey, like, who I feel fans do too much with. He was kind of horrible watching over 90 minutes, but he was my guy. Oh, Havertz don't do that. You know, I like Kai. I'm not dissing him. I'm just simply saying you don't look like you can do the midfield role. And I must admit, there's a running joke with some of my regular supporters on my channel. For years, we've been waffling about midfield. For me, I'm tired of it. Mikel Arteta and Edu, you were midfielders. I love how the squad's been assembled. Depth is another thing. I love how the squad's been assembled. I love the long-term attacking options we've got. I know Trossard is 29 and things like that. Defensively, you know, Kyrgios, Saliba, Gabriel, Tomiyasu, Benjamin White, and anyone I'm missing out, they're all of the right age. There's more questions than answers in the middle of the park. Declan Rice solves a lot of questions. You're durable. You're going to play every week. Quality player, trying to make you better as good in the final third as you are in the middle and defensive third, what you're doing at West Ham. Partey, we know he's here for the present, but you know his qualities when we do see him. Jorginho, for all his faults, you see that. But there's question marks over the long-term future of Partey and Jorginho. And Jorginho, unfortunately, is not a man that you can play for 35 or the 38 games. I'd argue, you know, take nothing away from Jorginho. He's probably started more games than Arteta would have liked. Then you've got the Fabio Vieiras, the Smith Rowes, Kai Havertz, multifunctional hybrid kind of guys. None of them have locked down the left eight for a variety of reasons. Some people haven't had the chance. Some people haven't taken their chance. There's an issue. And I think I miss Granit Xhaka because of his quality. I miss him because of his mentality. And I wanted him to at least stay during this Champions League, you know, return. But it didn't happen. As much as I like Granit and he's showing his quality going and winning the Bundesliga and they're trying to win, win in Europe, it's not Tony Kroos. It's not Luka Modric. You know, we miss Xhaka more than we should, in my opinion, because we haven't got more of a like. No two players are the same, but we haven't got more of a like for like replacement. You know, I wouldn't even call Kai a passenger in midfield. He's a passenger in the attacking phase because you know Kai in midfield. Arteta knows this as well because he makes that darting run forward, which I'm not taking away. But again, off the ball, Kai is wavy. On it, hey, it's a bit mad. It's a bit mad, and for me, we're not going to get to the next level. There's other things we need to do, but we're not going to get to the next level defensively and offensively until we address that midfield. For me, there's no way around it. There's no way around it. Midfield attack, still question marks, and it's been 4 years Arteta and Edu have been here. They need to fix it. Chelsea really broke him. Leverkusen Kai scored bangers, pinged through balls from deep midfield. MK, I hear that, you know, and maybe they did. But I don't want to keep talking about Leverkusen days, man. When he was at Leverkusen, not that I've got face, I got like five hairs on my chin now when he was at Leverkusen. I might have 10 by the time he looks decent in midfield. Forget that. Goretzka would be wavy. Bring me Kimmich, man. Xhaka was also a good general in midfield because that was his thing. Like Xhaka could do what to a degree what Kai does off the ball, and he was a he's a centre mid by trade. Until we look at that, it's dead. Kai works best when he has a creator around him like Trossard instead of a striker profile like Martinelli. To be fair, I think Martinelli and Havertz work quite well, if I'm honest with you. But even Kai, he pulls out to the right a lot more than the left. I'm surprised Arteta has not tried playing Zini in the left 8. I think, guys, he doesn't see him any at all in that position. I mean, Pep had an opportunity, Arteta's had an opportunity. They've made him a left back as a Sunday League fullback. There's got to be some concern about your midfield. Sorry about that, folks. I muted myself. Would love to see Zinchenko in the middle of the park. But if you go to sleep at fullback, what's going to happen in the middle of the park? And also, I think with I can't say Zinchenko is not an athlete. You're a professional footballer and you play for your country. You are an athlete. But when you look at the other people, Xhaka was durable. Partey, uncle isn't really on it, but you get the point. Declan Rice, they're athletes. They can get up and down the field. Zini's not athletic like that in comparison to his teammates. We create hella chances. We don't convert. When he's played on the left 8, e.g. first half of the season, if Palmer is really injured, I feel the Chelsea game could be a let-off to have Zini playing in that inverted role. I think it's mind games from Poch, man. Like, I think Palmer's going to be there, if I'm honest. Marcel, appreciate you. And he's right. Smash the like button, people, because we are on the road to 60K onwards and upwards. The most important thing is Chelsea looking more and more like... The most important thing is Chelsea looking more and more likely to stay at Chelsea. Enjoy Palmer, man. Them, you won't have him much longer. So, I can't lie to you, Rodney. Apologies, but I can't make out what you're saying there, my dude. Please read the sentence and then send it again. I'd love to hear your thoughts. His centre of gravity, everything has changes. And how good is Zini on the half turn as well, which you got to do in midfield? Obviously, I think he's good at it, but in the middle of the park, boy, I don't know. Do you think Timber could potentially play left 8? I think he could occupy the left 8, inverting, but no, not really. I think he's got the capabilities to do it, but I don't think you're going to get a prolonged period in midfield for Arsenal. I'd love to be proven wrong. The more players that can play in multiple positions and lock it down, then we're laughing. I imagine Timber might be involved in the squad for Bournemouth if everything goes well. Would love that. DG, what's your favourite kit during our Puma time? The yellow away shirt. I think he is back every season, every month, Rob. They've been saying that since February. But to go back to that, the one we won the 2015 FA Cup in, I always call that the Alexis Sanchez kit because I've only had 2 Arsenal players on the back of my shirt in my life, people. I wasn't a fan. Like, my dad drilled it into me. These players are going to cut. Don't waste your money getting attached to these players, and don't waste your money putting them on the back of your shirt. You can't not have Thierry Henry. Now, I won't be doing a watch along for that. But as I was saying, you can't not have Thierry Henry. So I had that. Didn't have a single, we had some great players, didn't have a single name. We see when we signed Alexis Sanchez, he was one of my favorite players at Barcelona. And then when I saw him at our club, he was wavy. I had to get that. And then you saw how it worked out, man. The hottest loves really have the coldest ends. And compared to when Thierry Henry joined and when he left, and when Alexis joined and left, it happened, didn't it, really, man? Timber's other brother can play left 8. I like his other brother, but I don't think it's for us, man. It'd be nice to have 2 twins, especially, pick up yellow cards and that and throw it off to the other one, but a myth. Man said Rob Holding, Rob Holding on the back of my shirt. I'm too wavy for that. I can't lie to you. We need better in midfield, progressive and creative players. The minute we lock down midfield, if you think you have seen Martin Odegaard levels, I promise you that him, Declan Rice, and whoever that is, they will get so much better, man. We can't praise movement. Midfielders have to come for the ball. It's not their prime job to run in behind. Again, exactly. And I'm not dissing Kai, and I didn't say he's not. I didn't say he's a problem. I'm just saying we're not going to get out the hood with that. To me, Kai's playing to his capacity, if I'm honest. In fact, maybe even over excelling. But there's a hole there. I'm just getting at it's not even the tools we've got. It's how we're utilizing these tools. We're not going to get to where we need to. Would love Benassia from AC Milan, but I don't think that one's going to happen. Kai is going to have better numbers than Xhaka. Then what did you miss from Xhaka? I mean, I haven't mentioned Xhaka's goals. I've mentioned the fact that, he drops into the defensive third. I've mentioned how he links up with his teammates. Obviously, the last version of Granit Xhaka, there's more similarities with Kai Havertz with their further forward runs. Xhaka gets on the ball and tried to help dictate the tempo of proceedings and try and make things run through him. I did not mention goals. De Jong is the only answer. 8 p.m. I've got a De Jong video coming out. There's an imbalance. Arteta has to figure it out. Neil, he has to, and he's a smart man. He had to have known this, really and truly. He has to have known this. Kai in midfield is spooky. Not trying to see him in midfield tomorrow. We need a serious midfielder if we want to hammer Chelsea. Odegaard, Partey, Rice, no messing. For me, with Kai, I'm on you playing in midfield because you're a fighter. And that's one reason I like Kai. You're in dangerous territory when you praise people for getting stuck in, but he gets stuck in off the ball, intelligence, movement, smart fouls, shithousery, pardon my French. I love all of that from Kai. But on the ball, there's nothing exciting. Like, not even exciting. There's nothing really competent. Obviously, he's competent. He's a Premier League footballer, but there's nothing really. And I'm not dissing him again. I am not dissing Kai Havertz. It's the tools. He's a good squad player for us. Welcome back to Daily Dušan. Hey, man, as we approach to the end of the season, I don't mind the content making itself, man. Now, the Puma kits were horrible, man. The minute you put them in the washing machine, they're done, man. The Puma kits were horrible. Durability on the floor, on the absolute floor, man. It's a good thing that we've got these Adidas kits. I can't lie. I think this is probably this and it was last season, right? The black shirt, probably the best Adidas kits that I think we've brought out recently, if I'm completely honest with you, man. So, yeah, man. What else have we, before we get into everything, what else we got? For reject means you try for an opportunity you don't get. For example, in football terms, I class Eze or Elise as rejects because they had Arsenal trials and failed. So did Harry Kane he got released, so he's doing all right. There's a need to address the number 8. While most of them are ignoring that issue, Rice is a good player at the 8, but an amazing player at the number 6. We must buy another partner of Odegaard next year. I hear it. People will say Bale is a Madrid reject. I mean, how can you be a reject? You won the Champions League and you played a key role, but that's fans, man. We seem spent to be honest. Hope we can put a performance in tomorrow, but I wouldn't be surprised if we have trouble. To be honest with you, I don't think our squad is big enough, man. Pardon me, I'm not saying we're gonna have a 25-man squad, but there's got to be a correlation. There's other factors, but there's got to be a correlation between, utilizing the same players not really being afforded rest, not really having a big squad. And when it gets to the tail end of the season, for other factors as well, we look spent. And Arteta has said we've got one of the finished squads in the Premier League. And Arteta's a smart man. Now, as I said, in one breath, I praise the way you've assembled the squad. I praise a lot of what Arteta is doing. But then I have to play devil's advocate. If I rate you so much and I think you're that smart and I think you learn so much from hindsight and apply so much foresight, that there's cracks in the team. So, yeah, man, I will be watching the under-21s, man. Nah, man, at least they look nice, even if we were stinking up the gaff with them. I hear it. You know what? To be fair with you, I'd have to probably go back in time and look at some of the Puma kits. What about the white Adidas shirt that was wavy, sold out quick? Which one? Are you talking about the one with the knife crime? I swear they didn't sell that. If they did sell that, and I am right about the one you're talking about, I got zanged. Oh, yeah, the Ozil Ludogorets kit, that was good. I didn't have that one. And the thing is, you try to buy these kits now, it's crazy. Imagine if Arsenal actually didn't waste money on Havertz and brought a good striker. Maybe I would have done even better this season. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I like Kai Havertz and it's working out to a degree, but I would have been equally happy if 65 million went on a striker. But I hear it, the striker market was last summer was a bit whatever. Maybe if we found that long-term Declan Rice partner, who knows, man. But Kai's doing his thing, man. It's fair to say the signings worked out to a point. I think I can't say we got what we paid for, but and I being wary of my language, but I think he's exceeded expectations, at least with Arsenal fans. And I'm not saying Kai Havertz is Arsenal signing of the season, but, when he signed, literally before he even probably got to take the pictures, people were saying he's a flop, he's this, the whole footballing world better yet. They're saying he's a flop, he's this, he's that, and the third. So by that logic, if he was put down as one of the biggest flops in the Premier League before he even kicked a ball, and he's helping to lead a title challenge and doing relatively all right, and is one of the first names on the team sheet, I'm just saying he should get his praise, if I'm honest with you. So, yeah, there's that, man. Should we see what Mikel Arteta and all the tabloids are saying? Big up you lot. Keep your talking points and all that good stuff coming. Time is flying. Can we get to 100 likes? We've got 57. If you've hit the like button, God bless you. Apparently, Timber is set to play for Arsenal's 21s at Blackburn on Monday night as he steps up his come back from injury. As we know, the defender's been out since suffering a knee injury on the opening weekend of the season. What such a long time that was, but while I can't remember a lot of, like, you know how football moves, you can't remember everything, but I think everyone remembers, what the 50th minute, unfortunately, he got injured. And it was a shame because he excelled in pre-season. I really think, I think he would have been our sign of the season. Take nothing away from Declan Rice. It would have been a great debate. I said it in the summer, and you can check the receipts. I understood naturally why Arsenal fans would be in love with Declan Rice, but I did say people are sleeping on Tim, but that's purely because I was watching Ajax. He's a lovely player, man, but I think we have to give him time to develop, man. Arteta said this month, people, on Timber, for what it's worth, he has a quality that nobody else has in the back line to actually affect, especially in attacking phases, things what we do in both positions or three positions. That's interesting. Fair enough. He then said, you have to learn while watching. I think this is Timber. Apparently, you know what? In general, apparently Timber's still been part of the team sessions and the coaching sessions and the analytics. He's basically still been part of the squad, which is nice. You have to learn while watching. The thing is, it's a long injury between 7 and 9 months, but it's also coming closer every week. At some point, you need to dig into the way we play and be ready for when I come back. I am involved in meetings, but also a lot of it is about communication. I keep talking to the players and I have lunch with them. Fair enough. Let's see what Mikel Arteta has said. How long is this press conference? He said quite a lot of things, man. What has he said first? Let me scroll all the way up. On the message to the players this week, boy, what is there to say? You win these games, you keep the title going. Two of your rivals, I don't really want to say Spurs are rivals. What trophies have they won? But they want to spoil the day. Spurs are fighting for fourth. I don't know if they'll get it. Chelsea season, they went out at Wembley. Misery loves company. They would love nothing more than to spoil what we're trying. So if you don't want that to happen, especially to these lot, go out there and win the game. Same message, keep doing what we've been doing, focus on the game, on the task, prepare the game really well. That's what we tried to do with the time we had available, and the boys look ready to go again. I can't tell Arteta anything, but considering this game was coming thick and fast, I did think a couple of our players would have been hooked in the Wolves game. And I think left back will be interesting. Does he put Tomiyasu straight back in? For me, you don't know me, I've got a bias towards Tomiyasu when it's the big games. I'm actually starting Kirill regardless. I think Kirill needs to Zinni big you up, but bench thing again, please. Serious time. We need serious defenders, or I know Kirill has some 1 or 2 nervy moments like he did against Wolves, but I'd persist with Kirill just because he's a bit stronger defensively. But if Zinni plays like the Zinni of last season, then it could be lit. And I think the midfield battle tomorrow will be great. I don't want to see Caicedo and Enzo for that. 2 quality players. I think they will get that partnership spot on, but they haven't been able to put consistently good performances in since they both signed for the club. Don't let them leave the Emirates with any sort of credibility, because we did, well, not them, but we allowed we allowed Mudryk to get off the score sheet. Don't allow these to be things. On a test of the character that our team is showing, it's a good test to see how we react to certain obstacles and how much we want it, basically, and what we are capable of doing when the task raises the level of demands and some people are questioning. It's the moment that you have to step up, and the team certainly did that. I think Cole Palmer will be there, and to be fair with you, my FPL team wouldn't be happy, but it'd be nice if he wasn't there. Obviously, he's not going to say, yeah, I was happy. I expected Chelsea to be where they are. He's obviously going to say he's surprised. We all saw Nottingham Forest very critical of VAR, and I think Nottingham Forest were bang on the money to do what they were doing. We all know he wants an improvement, so we're not going to waste time with the referee and stuff. On how big the win at Wolves was, it's definitely nice to go into Chelsea and Spurs this week with a victory, considering what happened against Villa and sandwiched in between that, what happened to us in the Champions League. In terms of size, it was quite good. It really meant a lot to us. We're in a great position in the Premier League. We've been like this for 9.5 months, where we want to really give it a real go and be really determined to do what is in our hands to try to lift that trophy. And tomorrow we're going to have a very tough opponent in front of us, and we'll try to overcome that opponent again. On the margins in relation to the title race, they are, because you depend on the other 2 teams as well. When you talk about, as I've always said, the best 2 teams in the decade of this league, and in my opinion, 2 of the best in history of this league, this is where we are. On what he has made of Chelsea lately, he said they've made huge improvements. They deserve a higher league position. Probably not, because, the table doesn't lie. It doesn't always tell the truth, but it doesn't lie. But the gaffer isn't going to say anything else. What people forget is Arteta and Pochettino are boys. So yeah, I imagine they'll have a nice cup of wine after the game. Hopefully, Mikel Arteta has 3 points as well. Enjoy. I have to play against him. He has to play against me. It's 2 huge clubs, a London derby, a massive game for us. We have prepared in the best way. I don't really want to get into the officiating and all of this sort of stuff on the stream, people. He did say he didn't work with Cole Palmer at City because he was too young. On if the fixture calendar list needs to change, obviously Arteta 9 times out of 10 has been very critical on such, but has also been accepting. He said it would be nice for the players to have a rest, but it is what it is. Like, if it's not going to change, we have to adapt. In which can we get more players? But yeah, and we know players could risk burnout. What has he said here? I don't know. When I saw this morning, I had to stop them because winning as well is a big boost of energy. After the performance against Wolves and winning, and now having to play the London Derby tomorrow, everybody is ready for it. Something else is just the amount and the volume of those games. It's not the moment for us to look at that. We have to think about it in a positive way and feel and think that we are fresh to perform in the best possible way. True. And again, you know, all your hard work that you did in August, in Dubai, in between the season, it comes down to these 5 games. Get through this. Obviously, you don't get much of a rest, but you lot can F off on holiday for those of you that are not in the Euro squad. And then we go again next season. You know, your time off is coming soon. Let's try and do something. These journalists were really trying to get Mikel Arteta to speak about the refs. I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm bored of talking about refs. I don't really have any time for it, people. On our record against the biggest teams and what has changed psychologically, whether it's psychologically, whether it's performance, or if it's getting better as a team, obviously, the more you win against big teams, the more belief you have that you can do it consistently. We prepare every game to beat them, and tomorrow definitely will be the same. We'll have to prove on the pitch whether we are capable or not. Then he said, when you look at the history and what they've done in the last 20 years, there's a huge difference, a big difference. We need to do that, and we haven't done any of that yet. On having more change on the left-hand side of the team than the right, because certain players stay fit, and, you know, between Timber's injury, between Jorginho and Partey, there's a lot of, we've spoken about that earlier in this stream and probably all season, people. But nonetheless, well, the fact is as well that we've had a lot of injuries on that side. Obviously, the fact that we haven't had Partey for 6-7 months has affected us in a way to play Declan in a different position. But I look at it as something really positive as well, that we have the possibility to change players and find different dynamics and units within the side. Again, we don't really care for Chelsea's money spent or their project. You know, spending definitely doesn't guarantee success, or a lot of clubs would be of winning the Premier League title. Chelsea probably will come good again. On Timber, he said that's a quick step when asked if he could be involved on Sunday against Spurs. Let's see how he feels today. He's been training really good. He looks ready. He needs that exposure. And after that, we'll assess whether that game comes at the right time or too fast. We'll try to get him with us for the final games, which we are in the final game. So as somebody said earlier, the Bournemouths, the Everton, maybe even Man United away, them kind of games. I think Spurs, depending on, you know, how he comes through the Blackburn game, which fingers, toes, and everything crossed, I think he could be on the bench against Spurs. But again, as much as I'm excited to see Timber back, and I'm not a medical man, let's just take time with him, man. You'd imagine the Euros comes too soon for him, but would love him to go after the Euros, really. At the moment, it looks really far because he hasn't played any football. So let's see how he goes tonight. Let's see if he can contribute in an impactful way to our system. And then we'll see what happens in the summer. On why Odegaard's fulfilled his potential, I disagree. I think we've only scratched the surface with Odegaard. I think people really downplay that man's ability, but he's stepping in the right direction. Fulfill his potential? Hopefully not. Hopefully there's still more to come. He's still very young and he's made huge steps in the last few seasons, including leadership. He's got a massive role at the club and hopefully we can keep growing. Then asked on the Wonder Kid stuff, especially because he had to wear that label since he was 14 or 15, and that's not easy. But I think he has handled that in a great way. I think the steps that he's made as well to progress and to have minutes and develop his career, especially when he went to Real Sociedad, I think it was a really intelligent move. And then from there, I think he took off, and now we have the players that we have. On how important he has been in building the team to challenge for the title, been pivotal to it, you know, for how we press, for how we build up play, for obviously being the captain. So off the field stuff that we can't see. I think that, you know, you look at Odegaard's progress from when he joined on initially on loan in whatever year of that January to now. I think it kind of, well, it does mimic how we've gone collectively. And I'm, you know, for you lot, I've got things wrong a lot of the time, but some of you lot wanted Buendia over Odegaard. I'm watching you lot. I remember everything. I've been wrong about things. And obviously, I'm a Wenger baby, so I was always going to fall in love from a footballing sense with Odegaard. But I told you, look, keep the faith in the guy. We've only scratched the surface. See, once we lock down this midfield, he's going to be even better, man. Odegaard's a player, man. Serious player. I can't say my favourite in the team because I've got many favourites, but I do think when Odegaard's on it, he's probably the most enjoyable player for me to watch at Arsenal. Of course, I love to see Saka and Martinelli bag. You know, Declan Rice has been a revelation. Saliba and Gabriel defensively are great. Love what Timber could bring. You know, Benjamin White's quality, and there's many others. But see when Odegaard's on song, Like Odegaard's a player you pay to go and watch football, whether it's on TV or in the state. Odegaard's thing is different. It really is, man. And I know we always talk about potential of the Sakas, the Martinellis, the Salibas, the Gabriels. People need to give Odegaard his flowers, man. Like, he could be a world-class player. He could be one of the, if not the best creative player in the Premier League at a period. Probably needs to wait for Kevin De Bruyne and these players to go away, but you get the point, people. Well, he's our captain. He's one of our main players. And when you look at the impact he has with us daily, it's amazing. So we're really happy to have him, people. What have you lot said before we progress? You know, I feel like 51 million for Vlahović is a good deal. I'm so happy to have Odegaard. Been watching him since the Hachim Mansour days. That guy did not blow in this team. To be fair, I'd be lying if I said I saw at the start of the season Chelsea being this dead. I don't know what it is. I don't know how they get through it. But I know you can't just look at Chelsea's situation like this. But when you look at all of those players, yeah, there's got to be something that the manager and the players are not doing, because everybody's stinking up the place. If this will never happen, but if Chelsea dissolved yet tomorrow and their players became free agents, there's people that would take Mudryk, there's people that would take Sterling, there's people that would take Caicedo, Enzo, Cole Palmer, you know, a fit Reece James, a fit Levi Colwill, etc., etc. So I don't know what's going on. Odegaard responded well to being captain too. Some players shrink, but he's grown. Exactly. And as much as I love Odegaard and I've been singing his praises, it's not that I wouldn't have him down as a captain, but I wouldn't know if I was Arteta, which again I'm not. I wouldn't have given him the captaincy. But that must mean, you know, there's other gears to his game. And, you know, one thing I like about Odegaard, we always see it, he's always leading the press and governing his teammates and whatnot and demanding more. He just doesn't fit the typical British stereotype of a captain. No disrespect to Declan Rice, but Declan Rice probably does. You know, he's not effing and blinding and all these things. And there's many ways to be a captain. A lot of players flowed through Havertz. We need to improve. Not mad at Bruno Gomares, but he's a carrier, not a passer. So if we sign an overlapping fullback like the Wolves left back, then who the hell is providing the passes? Wait. Bruno Gomares not a passer. I think you're wrong there. I think Bruno Gomares got everything. I think he's got a great range of passing. I think he can dribble. I think he's great in tight spaces. I think he'll help us with build-up play. When Bruno Gomares, and he's got that mentality, when he's not elbowing and fighting people, he's a bloody good footballer, man. I disagree with that point, man. Odegaard, best Norwegian in the league, don't know who the Haaland guy is, but hey, I don't, you know. But to be fair, you got maybe if you ask Saliba and Gabriel. But to be fair, the Real Madrid centre-backs could say they locked him up. Odegaard's main criticism for a long time was his consistency. I think he's finally found that. He looks like the truth every game, and especially in the big games. I disagree with the consistency, but I think I know what you mean in that taking it to greater levels. And I think Odegaard's got a long way before he's mentioned in the same way as Mesut Ozil, but Odegaard is the closest thing I will have to Santi and Ozil at this point in terms of that majesticness. And I think one thing that I wish Ozil did that Odegaard does is Odegaard could have shrinked. You know, he could have said, "Oh, Premier League, I'm not really for this. It's a bit physical." He relishes that. You know, he's never going to be the biggest and strongest. He does get brushed aside at times, but he puts in a shift, and it just makes me wish, why didn't Odegaard do that, man? I don't know. What do you think to Partey, DG? Think he's got a part to play? Lovely player. On ability, Partey could be here until Arteta decides others, but all the other stuff and the same themes we're saying year in, year out, at some point it gets boring. And at some point, something has to change. We can't keep saying we've got a midfield hole, just wait on Partey to return, etc., etc. It's long, man. He got the captain because of his brain. He understands the system inside out. Facts. Bruno in that game against Tottenham, feeding Isak was a joy to watch. It may not be his main trait, but it very well could be. He's definitely a passer. I think, let me close my window. I think these little kids are playing outside. I think one of his main traits, people, is his passing ability. Hey, man. We got the little kids, man. We need to shut the fuck up, man. What are you doing? It's actually messing with my ADHD. I'm on the Ramsdale thing. It's hard to concentrate, but yeah, man, I think Bruno's that's one of his main strengths, Bruno Gomares, man. 100% one of his biggest strengths is his passing. Bruno Gomares is wavy at that, especially when he does get the opportunity to play for Brazil. Whether it's Douglas Luiz, Bruno Gomares, we need one of them kind of guys, if I'm honest with you, man. But is it going to happen? I don't know. And when I say them guys, the profile, obviously I would love the players, but the profile, someone that can, you know, it's not dissing our players because some of them can't, but all these professional players, you can play when you've got a million years on the ball to turn. It's when you're in them tight, congesting places, when you've got no reason to want the ball, being able to play. I think we're missing that kind of 8. And to be honest with you, Bruno Gomares can play as an 8, or you can free up Declan Rice in this 8. I would love 2 midfielders. I'd love a deputy to Declan Rice, a 6 in the squad. That not that Declan Rice needs to save his legs, but could save his legs on occasion. And we've been alluding to 8 people. But progressing this live stream, big up you lot. Subscribe if you haven't. Saliba wants Derby double to keep Premier League title dream alive. Big him up, man. He believes we need to beat Chelsea and Spurs this week to have any chance of overhauling City and potentially Liverpool. And with City, they know they're playing on Thursday. So it's, and everyone's out of Europe now. Well, apart from Aston Villa, but all the title contenders are out of Europe. So it makes everything a lot more interesting. If we sleep, the title can be over. So we had to get back quickly, because if we lose or we draw again, we know it's going to be tough to win the league. We have 5 games left. And if we want to win the Premier League, we have to first win our 5 games and wait to see what happens. Of course, anything can happen in those last 5 games. If we want something at the end, we have to win. It'd be very tough because we are so close to Liverpool and City, but we started well. Obviously, today is not today, but against Wolves, and we have to keep going. If we want to put pressure on, we have to win, and to win and keep going like this, it'll be hard, but we're prepared. Big him up for that, people. He then said, it's really hard to come back after the last 2 games because we lost, but we knew how important this game was, obviously referring to Wolves. We came back with a win and a clean sheet. We're happy, and we have to keep going like this. We have good experience from last year. We missed you at this stage last year, and this season too, it can be up and down very quickly, so we are very well prepared. He then said, it's a very big week. I'll have an ice bath, massage, and do my best, but it's more mentally. I love this from Saliba, more experience than your year suggests. Our legs are tired, but this is football. We play with our heads. That's it. We have to push and give everything we have. We don't have a choice. We have to play. It's the end of the season. We have to push for the last 5 games, and we will rest after. Lovely stuff. That's why we are top. I don't look at the league table, but I hear that. We have good players who don't give up and sprint even at the last minute. Fair enough. Let's get with it, man. You're inspiring me. Moving on with the transfer news. Allegedly, Arsenal will have to pay 51 million if they want to sign the 24-year-old striker Vlahović, 24 years of age. Arteta in 2022 in January tried to aggressively go for him. 51 million in a day and age where shitter strikers, then pardon my French, are worth 100 million. I'm not saying he's the guy. I'm saying he should be considered. And I'm a fan of him, really. Let me know your thoughts. Ben Jacobs has been speaking on 90 minutes. Now, Gomares and Isaac have been linked with Arsenal, and it doesn't appear it's going anywhere soon, people. Man City want Bruno Gomares, and they want Paqueta, and they tried to buy Declan Rice. City need to be stopped, man. This ain't fair. But anyways, Newcastle to prioritize keeping Isaac instead of Bruno Gomares. I've said this before. I think Bruno's the one they probably know. Not that he's angling for a move. I think he's bought a new house in Newcastle, but he's one they've probably mentally prepared will cut. Isaac will cut one day if they, it's the order of life, but will stay there for a while longer. I'd love both, but your dream chaser did it at this. That's probably our whole summer budget. Newcastle brace for clubs to step up interest in Isaac and Gomares. Man City are admirers of the midfielder, while Arsenal are keen on both. Magpies would rather sell Gomares instead of Isaac. Newcastle would rather sell Bruno Gomares than Alexander Isaac this summer, with Arsenal interested in both and City eyeing the midfielder, sources have told 90 Minute. Arsenal's priority for the summer transfer window is to bring in a new striker, but they would also like to add a central midfielder as well, if it's within their financial means. Gomares, along with Real Sociedad's Martin Zubimendi, are concrete targets. Arsenal aren't the only club interested in Gomares. City have already approached the player's camp, while PSG are also contemplating a move. City are looking for a player to complement Rodri, and he could play instead of him as well, to be fair. And like the fact Gomares can play as a number 6 or a number 8. I mean, you get me Douglas Luiz and Isaac, or you get me Gomares and the next striker, or you get me Isaac and Zubimendi, we can maneuver. I know I'm being greedy, but as I always say, the dream is free, the hustle is sold separately. And if we're dreaming for this live stream, imagine Gomares and Isaac, folks. Imagine that with what we've got already. Declan Rice, Gomares, Isaac up front, Jesus about in the squad, Kai Havertz, see what I did there, about in the squad, Martinelli and Saka, the young savages about. Bro, it could be lit, man. Then I might just say, F it, we're winning everything. We're winning Wimbledon, we're winning Tour de France, we're winning everything, really, provided everyone stays fit. So yeah, City naturally are linked with him. They're also looking at Paqueta. He probably would have joined City last summer if it wasn't for the betting things, people. They want Kevin De Bruyne to renew his deal. Apparently, if he was to agree a move to Belgium, to the Saudi Pro League, then they could, be forced to act. Again, we don't really care about Kevin De Bruyne for the purpose of this live stream. Apparently, Newcastle needs to bring in 30 to 50 million to stay within the PSR rules. And you'd imagine they'd be able to do that with other players as well. It doesn't just have to be Isak and Gomares. Of course, the fees that they're going to probably command sorts it out, but there's probably some other players that they can get rid of, people. So we'll have to see. Newcastle are adamant Isak is not for sale, and it's unlikely the sporting director who replaces Dan Ashworth, who is expected to join Man United, will advise differently. 24-year-old Isak has 17 Premier League goals so far this season. Imagine that. And I'm skipping ahead, but where is it, people? You know, imagine you marry someone that can get 17 to 20 goals with the fact that we've got 6 different players with 10 plus goal contributions in the Premier League. You know, Saka, Havertz, Odegaard, Declan Rice, Martinelli, Trossard, the list goes on. You can see in front of me, it'll be lit. So I do think there's been times Arsenal fans have dared to say we don't need a striker. I do think we need one. I think we need the best of all worlds. We need people like Trossard who can come off the bench or start and score goals. People that can go through good periods of form like Kai and score goals. Obviously, Saka, keep doing what you're doing. Martinelli, get back to what you're doing. Odegaard, keep doing what you're doing of late, but keep scoring goals and bring in a 4 goals win games. There's been times where, we just needed someone who could put the ball in the back of the net. I think to the West Ham game, I'm being a bit harsh, but I think to the West Ham game at the Emirates, I definitely think the City game at the Etihad, where there was minimal chances, and even a striker, if you get 2 chances, very difficult to just score them both. People are human, but you get the point. So yeah, 17 goals, that's lit. We know he's integral to Eddie Howe's squad and Newcastle's project as a whole. Apparently, Newcastle would naturally love to keep Gomares as well, who's a Brazilian Geordie of sorts. But if the Brazilians' 100 million release clause is triggered, it will take the situation out of their control. Apparently, when Gomares signed his new 5-year contract at St. James's Park, a release clause was included, which is quite rare for Newcastle, but 90 Minute understands there's also a verbal agreement in place that Gomares will be allowed to talk to Champions League clubs, and that offers below his release clause will be engaged with, provided they exceed 80 million. Fair enough. So there is some optimism, but in business, how far does verbal agreements go? It's not in writing. And he would, unless your release clause is hit, probably would have to force a move. And does he, at the end of the day, you have to do what you have to do, but would he want to do that? I'm not too sure. Newcastle realise it's preferable to lose just one player if financial needs must, rather than having to sell several names. Again, people, they could probably get that elsewhere with a Trippier or Almiron and things of that. There's other people that could be sold, if I'm completely honest with you. But if they are to sell either Isak or Gomares, I would love Arsenal to be at the front of the queue and evidently benefit. If you haven't subscribed or smashed the like button, make sure you're doing such. The ITKs are getting into it again. I'm not saying they do or don't know what they're talking about, but in the grand scheme of making you lot content, pardon me, Team News and Ticks has said, pardon me, Arsenal made contact with multiple targets / their clubs in the last week or so to see if a deal was possible. Gomares is on that list. No idea about the agreement / clause stuff. So we'll have to see, really and truly. In relation to Vlahović, rumours won't go away. He has a 60 million euro asking price, people. I think a lot of the rumours with Vlahović is because he doesn't see eye to eye with Allegri. They're trying to get him to sign a new deal. I don't really buy it. I think people could prize him away, but I don't think Juventus are that desperate to sell him. 24 years of age, 40 goals in 94 games in all comps since joining for Juventus is definitely not a bad record, and it wouldn't go amiss to add someone of that ilk into Arsenal Football Club. Have been linked with Gyökeres. I think it's fair to add the Osimhen to the Ivan Toney list now, in that there's probably admiration, but probably not moving for them, people. So that's where we're at with Vlahović. I mean, I don't know why I have the same article twice. We've been linked with Bernardo Silva. I would love him at the carpet, but I don't think the 29-year-old will be signed for Arsenal. And Fabrizio Romano has poured cold water on it and said, sorry to disappoint any Arsenal fans who got their hopes up, but I have zero information on Arsenal and Bernardo so far, to be honest. The Portugal international's release clause is there for 50 million, but obviously Man City don't want Bernardo to stay in the Premier League and play for one of their rivals. My expectation for Bernardo, if he leaves City this summer, is to go abroad. As I reported recently, Barcelona's interest has always been there, and we know from what João Felix said publicly that he's spoken to Bernardo about the move. And you'd imagine Gundogan's doing the thing. We've also been linked with Mendy of Real Madrid. He said, my understanding is that his future is still open. He's got a year left on his deal. He could be sold, or he could even sign a contract extension. Still, Real Madrid can't enter the season with Mendy, Fran Garcia, and also Davies. So obviously, if they sign Davies, it is because a left back has to leave. So let's see if it's Mendy or not. Real Madrid would only sign Davies now if they sell a left back. So again, the rumour mill as we approach the summer is getting there. And once again, Man United, Liverpool, and Arsenal, as well as Newcastle United, have all been linked with Mendy according to L'Equipe. So draw of that what you will. Keeping up the fullbacks. I mean, this guy's always been linked with us, people. Arsenal will immediately make a bid for Fenerbahce left back Ferdi Kadigoglu, according to reports in Turkey. The 24-year-old has been among the club's best performers this season as a marauding left back. You lot that watch the Turkish league would have to tell me. I couldn't tell you anything on him. Who is capable of taking on his man, making chances, and even pitching him with an odd goal or two. I like that. I really do. But what about the 1v1 defending and these things, which, Tavares, left back, signs for Arsenal Football Club. When they're asking him his strengths, I like to shoot with my right foot. Sometimes the warning signs are there, people, and whatnot. Apparently, he's in high demand. He's got a contract until 2026. Apparently, Liverpool and City are monitoring his situation, as well as AC Milan, Napoli, and Borussia Dortmund. So I couldn't tell you anything about him, people, but there you have it. That's not really relevant to us. Aaron Ramsdale's been linked with Newcastle, and he's also been linked with Wolves in the last 24 to 48 hours, people. And you'd imagine Aaron Ramsdale's going to cut. According to Team Talk, Arsenal have slapped an enormous 60 million price tag on Ramsdale. Such a fee would make him the second most expensive shot stopper of all time, behind only Kepa. Crazy. Chelsea have been linked with him as well. And you'd imagine, Ramsdale's going to be linked with a club here, there, and everywhere until his future gets sorted. Are we purposely pricing him out of a move? I don't know. For what it's worth, apparently Barcelona would also like to join the race for Isaac and have joined us in targeting him as speculation over his future grows. This has said it, £10 million discount that the 24-year-old would cost 90 million. Isaac is emerging as one of the best strikers in Europe, and Barca have been scouting him since Christmas, and he obviously has played in La Liga as well. They see him as a player who could come in and lead their line for the next 3 or 4 years to be a massive success. He has all the attributes and would be a superb signing. Although Isaac is happy at Newcastle, the chance of a move to a club like Barcelona would be very difficult to turn down. Newcastle know they'll need to raise funds in the summer, which is why Barca are ready to make their move. Have they got the money, or are they trying to do the Bright House payments? I'm not sure. And at 24 years of age, his best years are ahead of him. If the man could stay fit, boy, that's the only thing you could say about Isaac. It's just fitness, essentially, people. Jose Mourinho has praised Kirill, which, again, as a defender, getting praised by Jose Mourinho, that's lit. He said, I'm happy because I like the kid and I'm happy everything goes for him. But the way they, in brackets, Arsenal played to get that point, and the way the media spoke about a magic strategy, in my time, it was not a magic strategy. I won at Man City a few times, but it was not an amazing strategy. It was a defensive game, part the bus, part the double bus. It was a different perspective. And that's, to be fair, that is really true. People didn't really give Jose Mourinho the credit of that because it's seen as negative. I'm a big fan of Jose. Sorry, Wenger. I'm a big fan of you as well. Look to Man City, look to Arsenal, just to give 2 examples. How many centre defenders do they have in the team? Sometimes they have 6. As a matter of principle, they play in other positions. They play right back, left back, they play in midfield, but they play with 5 or 6 central defenders on the pitch. Why? If I'm a journalist, I would ask the manager. They feel the need for defensive stability and defensive compactness. Fair enough, really. And I don't think anyone can disagree with what Jose said there. I'm really keen to see us sign Mendy, in it. Hella articles in relation to Mendy. Manchester City face competition from Arsenal and Liverpool to sign Wolves' 22-year-old left back Ryan El-Nouri. Like him a lot, really and truly. Bring him if possible. I'm a big fan of Coop Miners at Atalanta. Apparently, Atalanta would be willing to listen to offers of 50 million euros. Chelsea and Juventus are interested, according to Rudy Galletti. Over there, we've gone over that. We've got 10 clean sheets on the road and just 4 at the Emirates, people. So hopefully tomorrow we're even better defensively in that regards as well, people, even though we're still going to be here. Again, tomorrow we're watching the London Derby with each other, people. Make sure you smash the like button there if you haven't. Big up my guy Jordan. Again, we previewed Arsenal-Chelsea. That should be out at 9:30 p.m. today. And what else we got? I did a video on Frankie de Jong, people. So yeah, man, turn on your notification bells. There's hella content to come on you lot's airwaves. Whatever you lot said in the comments. He's the Turkish Zinchenko's. Boy, well then stay clear, innit? If that's the case. Arteta does have form for going back for players he's previously wanted, which is why I'm not against, in theory, going for Mudryk, I know, and going for Vlahović. The thing is, until you fix midfield, any strike you get with no service will never happen. To be fair, though, there's been enough chances at times there hasn't been, and chance creation, let alone conversion, has been an issue. But there's been a lot of chances that our team create, and there's just not someone that's on the end of things who is a natural goal scorer. It's crazy. I'll sell Martinelli and bring Leao, DG, Martinelli plus 10 mil. No, Martinelli staying, man. Martinelli staying, man. Man said manifest. The dream is free. The Arsenal sold separately, but let's keep going, man. He would be a problem there too. Probably get even softer treatment from refs. Go in for Matthias Nunes from City of City back Bruno. True. But then again, his stock's taking a hit, really. And if you're Nunes, would you want to leave City after just getting there? I don't think there's a player. I don't think there's a player there, man. I don't think there's a player that City are not in for. Could see Bruno end up at City. Honestly, they wanted Rice. They're turning it. They're turning it into a farmers league, man. They're turning it into a farmers league. Didn't Odegaard play with Isaac at Sociedad? Yes, he did. Wouldn't mind Vlahović if we can get him for a reasonable price. To be honest, Isaac will be silly money. I hear you, and you're not wrong, yeah, because of what you said. But where we're looking at these game changes, of course, if the scouting's correct and if you can find a player that transforms our midfield to the way Declan Rice did for £5, great, do that. Scouts, amazing stuff. But are we not in that territory where we probably have to pay these fees if we want to get to where we get? Declan Rice cost a lot of money. It worked out. Surely we're in that realm where if we want that, again, if you can get it for cheaper, great. But if we want them creme de la creme players, surely it comes with a territory, man. Tierney was one of the best left backs we had in a near decade, and he got outed. I like Zinni, but I ain't got no loyalties from at left back. I think Tierney wanted to leave. Now, don't get it twisted. You know, Tierney could have got more game time. Would have loved to have had him on some occasions. But I think Tierney said, you know what, Gaffer, I've given my best bet to get into the plans. I've been on the bench. I'm behind Kirill. You've just brought in Timber. There's definitely another Tomiyasu. There might even be someone I'm missing. Scotland got the Euros. I've tried. I don't want my Arsenal future to end right now. You said one day I could have been captain, but your system's changed. It is what it is, Gaffer. I need to go. Now, I don't know why Tierney left only on loan to Sociedad and there wasn't a permanent offer. Maybe we rate Tierney a bit more internally than the footballing world for whatever price Arsenal are asking for. But here we're at, man. I don't think Bruno has that mentality, to be honest. I can't lie, man. You lot just don't like Bruno. He's definitely got that mentality, man. I'll vouch for him. Timber starts at left back tonight. Let's go, man. Let him get some minutes. I'd love to see him get an hour. Man. Nah, man, I love Jose Mourinho. I love Jose Mourinho for his career, for his belief, for the fact that he's a villain. But he's not a villain. Like, he's a villain, but he's not. He's so humble. I'm a big fan of Jose. Like, Jose, Wenger, I'm a big fan of them. Like, I see a bit of myself in Jose Mourinho and that he's a shithouser. Shithouse we done. And, you know, up until recent when he was at Roma, first time, it feels like the first time he got to a final and didn't win. Big fan of Jose Mourinho, a hallmark of football. DG, what's your thoughts on Mika Berra? 15 goals and so far. It says doing great. I just think he's putting himself in the shop window. And if you're Mika Berra, you'd probably love to get an opportunity at Arsenal, but you've got a year left in your deal. Kai Havertz is in front of you. Eddie could leave, but Eddie's ahead of you. Jesus, there's issues, but he's ahead of you. And there's probably a lot of other options. And we're talking about bringing another striker. He might say, you know what, I've already got that taste for first team football. I'd love to make it at Arsenal, but now it's about being realistic about my situation. And I think we might probably sell him, Patino, along with all the other first teamers. And if you're young Waters, whose contract's running down, or Koza Dewberry, you've got a decision to make on the next steps of your careers, because playing under 21s would not help either of those Highlanders, if I'm completely honest with you, next season. Anyone you take from this year's Bologna side, DG? Zertsky, to be fair, there's a couple of decent players, but the only thing with Joshua, I think his playmaking skills are immaculate. I think he's very good, but I'm talking about we need goals. You don't really have to. I think he's got 11 goals. It's respectable, but it's not one where you're like, okay, like your Carers with them records that he's got, Osman historically, etc., etc. So I'd have him. DG, who do you think is leaving this summer and for how much? I wonder how much will make in player sales. I don't know, man, because there's a lot of variables really and truly, but players I think will definitely leave. It's difficult, man. Ramsdale's the only one that I would say definitely leaves. I think if there's offers for Partey, he could. I think Jorginho, he's got a lot to consider. Does he want to go back to Italy or whatever? Smith Rowe, Reece Nelson, Eddie, it probably depends on what the players want to do, what the club's plans are, the club's abilities to bring in players, and obviously the fees. Tierney, you'd imagine he's off. Lokonga probably off. Tavares, I hope to God you're off. Cedric, defo gone. You know, I think Patino and Beref, as I was just saying, probably cutting as well. Who else? I think everyone is. I don't think there's definitives. Even Ramsdale, he's just signed a new deal essentially, so it's not definitive. Especially if Arsenal, I don't know, but we just read that they're asking for 60 million quid. Like, is anyone going to front that up for Ramsdale in this day and age? How much does 60 million really go? And I would love to see us selling for 60 million quid, but yeah, it's a madness, man. If you haven't smashed the like button, make sure you're doing such, folks, and appreciative to you lot in that. DG, forgot to ask you this question last week. With the inclusion of Kyrgios over the last couple of weeks into the squad, is there an argument that Tierney could have stayed since that are similar playing styles? I've always said, yeah, if I was Tierney and I finished training in Spain and I wanted to see what my teammates that are staying at Arsenal were doing, I look at Arteta a bit funny, you know. I might cuss him under my breath because fair enough, when Tini was here, everyone was playing inverted. Don't matter if it was Kirill, Tomiyasu, whatever have you. Everyone was doing up inverted. In the last, let's say since January when we was putting that run of form together, Kirill was more playing as a traditional left back. Tini could have done that, but I think he just wanted to cut, if I'm honest with you. Big up Timber, man. We hope he comes through that unscathed, man. Reece Nelson probably going, Emil and Eddie must go. Nah, not Emil, man. I know his sentiment. I'll fight tooth and nail. You know, I like Nelson, but Nelson can cut. Eddie can cut. I want to keep Smith Rowe, but if certain offers get made, then it is what it is. If we can get 50 million for the pair, take it. Eddie adds nothing to this team. He had one 20-minute spell to Chelsea 2 years ago. Enough already. Get rid of. Harsh on him because he has had decent games, but unfortunately, Eddie and Nketiah is just not good enough. But yeah, that's our problem with Arsenal. We take players that should have been sold or on the peripheral things, make them rotation options. Players that are decent rotation options, we make them regulars, and then we draw as much blood from them as we can, and they're not quite cut up to task. That's been something that's an issue of ours, and I think Wenger used to do it, and I think with certain players, Arteta's done it, if I'm honest with you. I would have loved Tini to stay, man. I'm not going to lie, I was Tini FC, I still am. And for all of Zinchenko's issues, last season, when Zinchenko got introduced, as much as I was Tini FC, and for all the questions Zinchenko had, I'd be lying if I didn't watch Zinchenko and think, inverted fullbacks, this is new. Arteta, I kind of like this. I can't lie to you lot, people. Now, when Timber's back, he's calm. But, well, he's playing today, but you know what I mean. Objectively, who is better? Smith Rowe, Vieira, bias meter. At what though? Like, at what? At what? Like, it's probably Fabio, isn't it? But yeah, man. And I would love to see Fabio. You know what it is with Fabio Vieira? I think, you know, if he had more clout in this team, or he wasn't facing the issues he had, I think Martinelli has to address his own stuff. But, you know, Martinelli has a great partnership with Fabio Vieira. And you look back, ironically, August, like the Fulham game and the Spurs game, where Fabio Vieira was kind of taking his chances. I think fortunes might have looked a bit better for Martinelli if Fabio Vieira didn't have the question marks that we have right now, because he's got a good partnership with him. I like Fabio, man. I like him, but at the end of the day, he's for someone I signed for 30 million and whatnot. I always forget he's at the club, man. And I think next season, I wouldn't say last chance saloon, but if we're still this time next year, if we're still having the same talking points around Fabio, then something needs to be done. And for me personally, I think in the summer everything should be open. My immediate thing is to keep faith with Fabio. But if the club were to say, you know what, you're going on loan, or if there was an offer that ensures we break even and we're going to accept that, it is what it is. I was back in the inverted fullback stuff for Zinchenko until I saw the moments when bro was tasked with defending. Are we pretending Tini can stay fit? Another issue of his. Fabio, for me, is using his body to his advantage, but he's likely last chance saloon to go on loan. Yeah, man. Fabio's technically better than Smith Rowe, but there's better men that have better technical ability than Saka. They ain't got 30 goals as his contributions. I'm with Smith Rowe and Gabriel Jesus to the end. I can't lie to you. But if offers get made, it happens, man. Do you think Martinelli is more English than Brazilian? Right now, I can't tell the last time he did something Samba-esque. Martinelli, see how they're talking about you. You see, football fans got some short memories. When he's playing North London derbies and he's controlling it on his thingy on his back, and I don't think he meant it, but I'm sure he did some skill when Eddie and Nketiah put it in the back of the net. Can't remember against who or when, but I'm sure he's at the Emirates. I don't think Martinelli meant to pass it, but some of you were shameless and said he did. I'm a big fan of Martinelli, so I'm going to be shameless. Listen, Gabriel Martinelli, Jesus, Smith Rowe, you got to support me to the end. You know, I think Martinelli and Jesus got nothing to worry about unless offers get made in the summer. Smith Rowe, it's in the balance, my friend. It's in the balance. It's in the balance. It's in the balance. It's in the balance, man. It's in the balance. It is what it is. Selling list: Eddie, Tierney, Ramsdale, Fabio, Zinni. I would sell Zinni if an offer gets made, but I think there's more pressing matters to get out. I think, you know, clearly Tierney the days are gone, in it. Tierney's got a cart, Eddie's got a cart, Nelson's got a cart, Lokonga's got a cart, Tavares has got a cart. I don't really want to sell Patino, and in an ideal world, I would get Mika Berth to sign a new deal and go out on loan and see what we can have there. But them two have got a cart. I think Partey will be made available, whether we're able to shift his wages, whether he wants to leave, whether offers that are suitable made, whether he wants to run down his contract is another thing. I think Jorginho will stay, but I think Jorginho holds all the aces in that. Clearly, the club like him. If you want to stay, you can stay. Football career is short. You've clearly earned a lot of money, but if you want to go Saudi and get paid, go get paid. If you want to go back to your native Brazil, go Brazil. If you want to go back to Italy, go to Italy. Who else is there? You know what? Ramsdale probably has to cut, but that one there's Techie. Who else is it? There's bare people that I've forgotten. Fabio. I want to keep him, and I will keep him next season, but you need to put a marker down, man. Like, Fabio's frustrating. He builds up a bit of form, takes the chances off the bench, gets a start, gets injured, and then like the circle continues really and truly, man. I got a lot of time for Fabio, man. Villa will come in for Smith Rowe. It's been in the win prepared, DG. I mean, listen, if they come in with certain offers, you look in January, people were saying 30, 40 million from West Ham and Newcastle. Who's got admirers. Things have to happen. I think one person that'd be interesting is Kyrgios. And I'm not saying Kyrgios should be sold or will be sold, but every time you type in Arsenal, maybe not so much now because Kyrgios playing, but there is offers from decent clubs, from AC Milan, from Roma, from Napoli. And it seems to be more than what we initially paid for him, especially if rumours are to be believed and we're bringing in more defensive reinforcements. Maybe the club say, you know what, quick, prof, keep it moving. But I wouldn't sell Kyrgios. You're part of the squad. Timber is the player I'll be focusing on in the next weeks. Be lit, man. Tomiyasu isn't good enough to be a squad player, I'm afraid. What? Tomiyasu isn't good enough to be a squad player? He's not fit enough, but yeah. I've seen the Mendy links. I like Mendy in theory as a left back, but I don't buy it. Who do you think will play left back against Chelsea? I think Kyrgios. Like, you never know with Tommy. Maybe it was a precaution. You know, Tomiyasu would be my immediate bias because obviously Timber's not a factor. But as I said at the start, I'd start Kyrgios, to be fair with you. Like, done all right in the last game against Chelsea last year. He's been all right since the turn of the year. Ain't got no issues around fitness. There's obviously moments in that he was terrible in certain aspects against Bayern Munich. He did get turned against Wolves. He did get turned against City, which I think people are exaggerating. You know, players do get turned. But Kyrgios done his thing, man. And you kind of have to bet on the players that are showing you stuff at this moment in time. Shout out the Kenyans, man. Appreciate that. Partey, I like the guy and what he brings to the table, bro. But at the end of the day, like, and even Tomiyasu, I got a lot of time for Tomiyasu, man. I really do. But it's frustrating now. Like, Tomiyasu, Partey, Jesus is crossing into that. I don't want to mention the Haylender, but there's another one, bro. The best, Fabio Vieira is another one. The best trait you can have is being available. We've got one of the smallest squads by Mikel Arteta's admission. Half of these players are always injured. And then you run the other players into the ground. How many times are we going to see this story and expect different results? I'd love to wake up and everyone's fit. You know, Partey was fit for about 40 games last year. There has to be a correlation with Partey being fit and a sustained title challenge. But that's an anomaly because, you know, did we do something different with Partey last year that we haven't been doing in the last few years? Or was it an anomaly? Unfortunately, when you mention Thomas Partey, the name Partey, like with Tomiyasu, you think injuries. Martinelli going to score against Spurs. Watch the flip-flops. It happens, man. It happens. People, it's football, isn't it? Football fans have a short-term memory. Tommy is outstanding. Best 1v1 defender we have. Must keep. I must admit, I think he is. But I think there's a certain player who's going to be playing in the 21s today. Let's say a year from now, he might give him a run for his money there. Yeah, and that in terms of that, not sure. But yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, his availability is horrible, man. Tomiyasu's availability is horrible, man. Horrible. And that's why I think when he signed that deal, he didn't get a longer deal. I actually think if it persists, he's one that Arsenal might phase out in the next 2 years. Just because of that. Saka was playing better in the last few minutes against Wolves. So was Declan Rice. Don't know what they put in their Lucas, but it was lit. If we get this window right, I see Arsenal having another 80 million in addition to the transfer budget. I just hope we deploy the cars properly versus balance the books. We need to be bold next season. I mean, in the same way, when we're playing football, that's Arteta's season. We're gearing up to Edu Gaspar's season because this is where he's going to have to earn his money. Identify the players that Arteta wants, get over the line. And I would like to see some decent sales. You know what? Balogun is I think Balogun was a good sell on the Edu, but I'd like to see us do a bit better in that regards, man. So he's going to have to. Jorginho and Partey both can't stay. I think there's a reality they can, but I don't think they will. And it's a difficult one because Jorginho might sit there. There's a reality Jorginho might say, you know what? One love Arteta, but I want to try something else. And he goes and we have to keep Partey, or Partey leaves, which I think the club would like, and Jorginho stays. But Partey's under contract for another year. Put yourself in Partey's shoes. Obviously, if the club tell you need to cut and you need to leave, that's a completely different story. But you're 30 odd, unless you go Saudi, You're not getting the wages. You're probably on at Arsenal. You got a young family, London aspect. The manager, even though you ain't played for 6-7 months, still talks about how good you are. The club is on an upward trajectory. We're back in the Champions League. Probably feel like you got a bit of unfinished business. At 30 years of age, you might want to run down your deal because in 6 months from the summer, you'll be able to agree a move abroad for free. There is some rumours that Partey has a contract extension on the table for Arsenal, but in terms of mainstream news, we ain't seen that. And also put yourself in the shoes of if you was a team that wants to buy Partey, you're probably not going to match Arsenal wages, but you're going to have to give him something handsome. And then you think about the Partey quality player, 100%. But when you think about the wages, the durability, it doesn't make sense. You might say, I'm not prepared to give Arsenal a transfer fee. Let's run down his deal. Let's see what next season's happening, because if playing football was an audition, again, we know he's a quality player. But when have you seen Partey this season? Couple cameos to make success. You ain't really seen him like that. So it's an interesting one, man. Prime hydration is rubbish. I don't know how they got a contract with Arsenal. Hey, man, I can't talk on that. But yeah, man. It helps when KSI's got a box at Arsenal, and it helps to have money. I think we dodged a bullet with Balogun. Man's been poor. I think fans were overdoing it with the Balogun hype, and I know we ain't doing nothing in France because no one's talking about him, but it's the trials and tribulations of a young player, innit? You're going to go through that, because as you're trying to add consistency to your game. And that's what Haaland needs to do. As much as I always say, I dream of a world where we've got a starting 11 all from Haaland. Dare I say even the squad, it's never going to happen. I want that. But if we can get the Sakas and Nelsons and Eddies and Smith Rowes to, various denominations in squad importance, and they play for the first team, great. If they can't and they're sold on and they do Iwobi and Joe Willock and Balogun cutting their Maitland-Niles to a different degree, we should have got 30 million, and they're cutting their teeth in other divisions or at good levels, then that's what the academy's supposed to do, man. For me anyways. Speaking on that, would you start Partey for Chelsea? Because not going to lie, I would, because we get a better Odegaard. I think we get a better Declan Rice. Like, you see Declan Rice. I don't know. It's like Declan Rice gets gassed off seeing Partey and Odegaard as well. It's an interesting one because I'm happy I'm not Mikel Arteta. I'm not going to lie to you, lot. I'm happy I'm not him, because I think this is why I think we need two midfielders. Because a part of me thinks Jorginho has to play. Like, Jorginho is fitted than Partey. He's been one of our more informed players. And probably to our game plan, he's more important, and he's got, he's more likely to play. I think you've got to go with Jorginho. But then I think back to the game, last year technically, or the game, the reverse fixture at Stamford Bridge. Jorginho, it's them games there where they're a bit too excitable. Like, that's where he struggles. The game was open when we was chasing it against Villa. The same goes with Spurs. The same goes with Chelsea. That's when Jorginho struggles. If it's going to be a chess match against Chelsea and Pochettino's men, Jorginho's calm. Partey, how fit are you? God, seriously, how fit are you? Because you've been on the bench. Arteta's brought you off 1-2 times. He's not utilised you even against Bayern Munich. How fit are you? So if fitness weren't a problem, naturally, I'm going to bet on Partey, but I think it's got to be Jorginho. And this is why, for me, next summer, we need one midfielder minimum. If it was up to me, which it's not, and I know there's other people that can play, you need a 6 and an 8, man. We need a deputy for Rice. We need that 8. If Jorginho wants to stay or one of Partey and him stay, great. You've got Rice. We're covered. We're stocked. We're laughing. I'd probably lean towards more Jorginho, man. De Jong, not for us. Weak in the tackle, as he proves. Boy, no, we need to look past Partey now. He's been with us for 3 or 4 seasons, and he's only played one foolish season. Time to move on, I think. It's true, but with 5 games left, if we were ever going to get a song out of him at what's left of the season, surely it's got to be now. Did you see the mistake from the Crystal Palace keeper? No, I haven't, actually. I'm going to go watch the Prem highlights while I'm watching the 21s play, if I'm honest with you. How do you feel about a midfield of Odegaard, De Jong and Rice? I'm conflicted on De Jong, if I'm honest. Again, video coming out at 8 p.m. today with my De Jong thoughts. On ability, I don't want to ruin it, innit? Make sure you check that out. But what I will say is, I think De Jong, in terms of quality, ability, bring him to the carpet. If we're talking about mentality monsters and these guys, I think he crumbles at times. I think he goes outside. I don't think he's that. That's all I'll say, But 8 p.m., extended thoughts. Partey did well off the bench against Wolves. He did. Partey passing range and dropped the shoulder to evade a press could kill Chelsea. It could. But then again, if he can come off the bench with 20 minutes left and impact that in the same way he did and Tomiyasu and Kai Havertz against City at the Emirates, why not? Frankie will ball out with Odegaard. He will, man. I miss Aubameyang, but time's gone, man. Zubimendi, bring him. Bring him. We get a better team when we line up with that midfield. It needs to be spot on for the Chelsea game along with the attack. No funky business. Amen. Balogun hype was too much. Peeps gassed him. But if you want him to play and see him off the ball, but he's still a child in his time. He's still, bro, 2 seasons of first team football, including now in a top 5 league. You're going to struggle, bro. But that's what comes with the territory. In his early 20s, doing his thing, man. Big him up. If I'm honest with you, big him up, big him up. What have we got here? Big up my guy, K. DG, potential video idea. Can you do a top 3 summer transfers for all the big 6? What position each team needs to contend for and the title to contend for the title / significantly improve? Do you know what? I'll screenshot that, and that could be something, you know. That could be something, you know, because we're gonna need to think of content. 2 more likes until we hit 100, and appreciative to you lot. Is Palmer really out tomorrow? Poch has said he basically is, and then said he's not. Mind games. What I would say to Arsenal and Arteta, probably factor for the best Chelsea team, innit? Bruno Gomares goes missing like John Cena in big games. I don't know what he did to you, but you sound like a hater, man, if I'm honest with you. De Jong is a weak player. We need strong midfielders. He left his toe in a pathetic tackle. He got injured. Harsh, man. I just think he's soft, man. He's a baller, but I just think he's soft. Like, we need some horrible people, if I'm honest with you. And, you know, we are invincibles. Lauren was horrible. Henry was horrible. Everybody was horrible. You know, you look at any team that's one side, they've never been nice. You know, you look at Barcelona on the ball, they're amazing. But half the time, and we see it all the time, Xavi, Iniesta, Lionel Messi, all of them surround refs, dark arts. Man United, well, it helps when you had the refs and Ferguson, you know, paying off the league. But this is the dynamic. City, no one's a nice guy. You know, Phil Foden's the only soft one. He didn't back his mum. It is what it is. But the rest are, see you next Tuesday. Rodri, the biggest villain. We've seen him be a villain against Arsenal. I like our team, and I can't accuse Arsenal players of not having personality because I think they do. But I think I need to see more of in a positive way, a bit more of a swagger, a bit more of an arrogance. We've got nice guys. Like, and again, if it's not in you, it's not in you. You know, I need us to be a bit nastier at times, like what we kind of expect. Lauren was horrible. Keon, horrible. These men were horrible. Horrible guys, bro. Horrible. That's what we need. Bruno Gomares is the midfielder. We need tech and violence. Yeah, you have it. We need a Costa. Even that. I can't, man. Phil Foden's a quality player, but he didn't back your mother, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, come on, man. He'll always get slandered. I must admit, I love Phil Foden, but I think he did a video years ago. I think it was him, Mount, and Poet or something like that. And he called Arsenal a dead team. So after that, I mean, compared to City, we are dead, innit? But we're a lot closer now. But yeah, you're always going to get slandered at any opportunity. And no matter how much money you make, no matter how many trophies you win, no matter whatever you did, you didn't back him on, bro. Like, you're going to go to bed feeling like a dickhead. So it is what it is. Like, the woman who pushed you out after 9 months, say no more, man. I'm a bit late, but who would you rather prefer, Vlahović or Sesko? Oh, Bernard. Vlahović. A lot more seasoned, 24 years of age, and Arteta aggressively went after him, so there must be something. I could never call Phil Foden overrated, but for the hype, you know, he's not, you know, I remember it weren't the World Cup, but the Euros, he got all the hype going into it, changed his hair, was on the bench. Never has to make it, you know, got away with hiding against Madrid. When it's Saka, there's limping videos and whatnot. Quality player, but the energies in the football debates are not consistent with players. But he's a quality player, generational talent, man. If you remember in the Community Shield, Cole Palmer did score a really good goal. He scored a great goal against us, man. She did, man. She did. But still, you did that, innit? Like, you did that. So no matter what you did that. We have to start Partey. If it's not working, put a fresh Jorginho on the pitch at halftime. If fit Partey should start. The man was on one of the top midfielders for progressive passes in the final third. I hear what you're saying about Vlahović, but I don't think a bagsman will suit Arteta ball. For us fans, we're still missing we still see it as a missing slot, but Arteta likes fluidity up top / less goals. I've said that, but Arteta had to have been convinced at some point. Now, he might have rated him now and don't rate him again, but there's something. And to be fair with you, I do agree. But surely the bagsman knows it. Like, whoever the striker is, let's just assume whatever strike, like a 20-goal man out there is talking with Edu right now, and he's not playing in a system where they're doing what Arsenal's doing. You're gonna have to buy into that. If you're prepared to work hard, you can do this pressing thing. It's easier to learn how to press and do that stuff than it is to learn to put a ball in the back of the net. As much as you can improve your finishing, I believe strikers are born. You either got it or not. That's why I'm quite pessimistic on Jesus ever being a consistent bagsman. Are we playing away or at home? We're playing at the Emirates, lad. What's the most important position we need to address? Position. You didn't say positions, so I'm conflicted. I want to say striker. That left eight. For me, the left eight. If you're saying position or not positions, left eight. But I think striker, centre mid, equal importance. There's no either or. They both have to be addressed in the summer. Like, there's no either or thing. It's like, ironically, go back to the summer we signed Partey. You know, Arrow tells you how long ago it was. Arrow was linked with Arsenal, and us Arsenal fans was having that debate. Do we get a 6, which would have been Partey? Do we get 8, which is Arrow? The truth is, we needed both then. Like, we just need to do both. DG, who would you prefer between Gomares and De Jong? I would personally prefer De Jong, but with how much our fans are missing the Xhaka S player, I see the hype for Bruno. He's got that aura. Difficult one, man. If it was just a case of you give them both a football and let's play, I'd rather watch De Jong because that's the Wenger in me. But with what I think Arsenal need, as well as obviously the competencies they both have, they're both 2 quality midfielders and would address an area. Bruno Gomares, because he's a bit more, he's nasty with it, man. Like, De Jong's a good youth, like, you're a good guy, like, you play good football and whatnot. But when I'm not saying these players don't respond to adversity, but when it's time to be a Spartan, we ain't got them Spartans, like, really and truly. How many Spartans have we got? If you was in a nightclub and unfortunately people tried to start on you, how many Duns in our team are backing it? Not backing it like, oh, mate, there's no need. How much man are going to swing fists and ask questions later? I don't know. And we don't advocate violence, but you get the point. Zinni deserves some respect. And also, do you want him out or to keep him? I would keep Zinchenko for the squad, like, if he's willing to accept that. But when you see some of the rumors, 40 million shouts, 35 million shouts, 2 years left on his deal, safe. Well, I mean, Phil Foden Phil Foden back in his mum was Zinchenko's defending. Who puts in more of a shift? I don't know, people. I don't know. Arteta's not going to buy anyone. I don't think the person is available. We didn't have the funds. We got to get it done, man. We got to get it done. There can be no excuses because I'm exaggerating a bit, 100%, but we're on a trajectory, right? I think we're here. Like we're here. Like, we either regress or we force some steps now. And I think you can obviously do that without big money signings. But I now think we've got a healthy foundation where we do need to complement big money signings with the squad. But it's now time to, and I want to watch my words wisely, but blockbuster signings, that can be by name or how much they impact the team. I think Timber would have been a blockbuster, even though it weren't blockbuster money. Centre mid that changes our fortunes. A striker that really brings something to the table. And then you marry that with a couple of decent squad players. We're all right, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion, man. Who knows? I saw Zubamendi play live versus Barca. I got to say, he's hella Busquets-esque. He needs to come to the carpet. Like, I'm done talking about it. We need to come to the carpet. We should bring Kolasinac for street cred. No, think he knows MMA as well. I mean, Mesut Ozil has to thank Kolasinac, and that has to be your friend for life, man. But with that being said, though, people, we've been here for 90 minutes. I'm going to go and finish off this Vlahović video I'm doing for you lot. Oh, I meant to actually share this with you lot, not me print screening one of the content ideas. But yeah, I want to go and finish this Vlahović video and then actually begin a Nico Williams think piece. The grind always stops. You lot see me streaming all the time. You don't see the back burners. So yeah, in relation to Frankie de Jong, 8 p.m. another video is going to come out by myself. Big up Jordan because we previewed Arsenal versus Chelsea as well as Spurs and some other contexts. That comes out at 9:30 today. And then obviously tomorrow live from 7 p.m. It's the time for talking is done, isn't it? It's a big week for us, people. I appreciate you lot's talking points, your differences of opinions, everything you lot have been doing as usual, man. The road to 60,000 is alive and kicking. Make sure you're smashing the like button, you're commenting and you're subscribing. And yeah, and all of that good stuff. If Mikel Arteta does want players that have that positive chip on their shoulder and individual moments of brilliance, just like in the Champions League, I know someone.
Against this right back, Charlie.
Like
because he always used to attack it when like defenders